When we cast our minds back to the classical world, to the age of empires that shaped our modern reality, a familiar cast of characters typically takes the stage. We think of the magnificent, sprawling power of Rome, its legions and laws stretching from the misty shores of Britain to the sands of Mesopotamia. We think of its great rival, the sophisticated and ancient Persian Empire, a civilization of poets, administrators, and kings who challenged Rome for centuries. We might even look further east, to the Han Dynasty in China, a powerhouse of innovation and culture, a world unto itself. For most of us, that's the map of ancient superpowers. Rome, Persia, China. A neat, tidy trio of titans. But what if I told you there was a fourth? A fourth superpower, a contemporary of these giants, a civilization of immense wealth, profound faith, and staggering architectural ambition, that has been largely written out of our popular historical narrative. An empire that one Persian prophet of the time ranked as one of the 4 greatest kingdoms on earth. This was not an empire on the Mediterranean, nor in the Fertile Crescent. To find it, we must journey south, far south of the Roman legions, past the cataracts of the Nile, and into the high, rugged, breathtaking landscape of the Horn of Africa. We must travel to the highlands of modern-day Ethiopia, a place of vertiginous mountains, deep chasms, and tabletop mesas called ambas that rise like islands from a sea of clouds. It is an ancient land, a land that feels raw and primal, where the very air seems to hum with history. And in this land, in a town nestled in a quiet valley, stands a small, unassuming building. It is not a grand cathedral or a towering palace. It is a simple modern chapel, guarded by a single solitary monk who has sworn an oath never to leave its sacred grounds. This monk and the generations of guardians before him have a single lifelong task: to protect what lies within. Because according to the steadfast, millennial-old tradition of the Ethiopian people, this humble chapel is the final resting place of the single most powerful and sought-after artifact in Judeo-Christian history. They believe it houses the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest built by Moses, containing the stone tablets on which God himself inscribed the 10 Commandments, an object said to level mountains, to strike down armies, a direct conduit to the power of the Almighty. How could such an object, a cornerstone of Judaic history, end up here thousands of miles from Jerusalem, in a small town in the heart of Africa? The answer and the truth of this forgotten superpower lies in the story of the kingdom that built this town, the civilization that chose this valley as its capital, and the empire that once commanded the trade routes of the ancient world. This is the story of one of history's most important and criminally overlooked lost empires. This is the story of the kingdom of Aksum. Our story begins not with a bang, but with the slow mingling of peoples and cultures. Long before Aksum rose to prominence, around the 8th century BC, the highlands of northern Ethiopia and Eritrea were home to a kingdom known as DMT. This was already a sophisticated civilization, engaged in agriculture, building impressive stone structures, and trading with its neighbors. But it received a powerful infusion of culture and technology from across the narrow strait of the Red Sea. From the resource-rich lands of southern Arabia, in what is modern-day Yemen, came people from the legendary kingdom of Saba, what many believe to be the biblical land of Sheba. These Sabaeans brought with them their advanced stonemasonry techniques, their political structures, and most importantly, their script and language. This fusion of local African peoples and Arabian Sabaean settlers created a unique cultural crucible. For centuries, this region was a melting pot, a place where ideas, goods, and bloodlines mixed, creating a new and vibrant identity. Out of this mix, around the 1st century AD, a new power began to coalesce. This new state was centered on the city of Aksum, and its rise was not based on conquering vast swathes of land, at least not at first. Its rise was based on one of the most powerful forces in human history: location, location, location. The kingdom of Aksum was perfectly positioned to become the master of trade between the Roman Empire and the distant, exotic riches of India and the Far East. Imagine the world at that time. The Roman Empire was at its peak, a vast consumer market with an insatiable appetite for luxury goods. They craved silk from China, spices like cinnamon and pepper from India, and precious materials from Africa. The traditional overland routes, the famous Silk Road, were long, arduous, and controlled by Rome's great enemy, Persia. Any goods that traveled that way were subject to exorbitant taxes and the constant threat of disruption. But there was another way, the sea. The maritime route through the Red Sea was faster, safer, and, if you controlled it, incredibly profitable. And that is exactly what the Axumites did. From their capital city high in the mountains, they controlled a corridor of land that led down to the coast, to their magnificent port city of Adulis. Adulis was the beating heart of Aksum's commercial empire. It was a bustling, cosmopolitan metropolis, a place where Roman merchants haggled with Indian sailors, where Egyptian traders bartered with local Africans. The docks would have been a kaleidoscope of sights, sounds, and smells. The glint of Roman gold coins, the scent of frankincense and myrrh harvested from the local hillsides, the vibrant colors of Indian cotton and Chinese silk, the heft of elephant ivory brought from the African interior. Adulis was the gateway, the toll booth between two worlds, and Aksum held the key. The wealth that flowed from Adulis up into the highlands to the capital city was staggering, and we can still see the evidence of this incredible prosperity today, etched into the very landscape of Aksum. The rulers of Aksum were not content to simply hoard their gold. They built. They built palaces, they built tombs, and most famously they built their incredible stele. These are gigantic, single-piece stone obelisks, carved from solid granite and erected as markers for the tombs of their royalty. They are monuments of breathtaking ambition. The largest of them, the Great Stele, stood over 33 meters high and weighed an estimated 520 tons. It was, and still is, the largest single piece of stone ever quarried and erected by humanity in the ancient world. It was taller than any obelisk in Egypt. Imagine the engineering prowess required, the quarrying, the transportation over miles of rough terrain, the incomprehensible effort of raising this stone giant to the sky, all accomplished nearly 2,000 years ago. The Great Stele has since fallen and lies broken on the ground, but its neighbor, the obelisk of Aksum, which stands 24 meters tall, was famously looted by Mussolini's Italian forces in 1937 and only returned to Ethiopia in 2005. These stele were more than just grave markers. They were statements. They were symbols of power and permanence, a way for the kings of Aksum to declare their might not just to their own people, but to the gods and to the wider world. The capital at Aksum was a city of power, a political and religious center that oversaw a kingdom growing in confidence and influence. And like any true superpower of the ancient world, Aksum began to mint its own coins around 270 AD. This was a crucial step. Minting coins in gold, silver, and bronze was a declaration of sovereignty. It placed Aksum on equal footing with Rome and Persia. The coins are fascinating historical documents in their own right. The earliest ones feature the pagan symbols of the disk and crescent, representing the old gods. But these coins would soon tell the story of the single most important transformation in Aksum's Historia, transformation that would define the soul of the nation forever. The kingdom reached its absolute zenith in the 4th century AD, under the rule of its most famous and influential king, Ezana. Ezana was a military genius and a brilliant statesman. He expanded Aksum's borders, launching successful campaigns against his neighbors. Most notably, he marched his armies down the Nile and conquered the ancient kingdom of Kush, with its capital at Meroe, a rival power that had endured for 1,000 years. On a stone inscription celebrating his victory, Ezana lists the peoples he has conquered and gives thanks for his success. But he gives thanks to a new god. A god that was, at that very moment, transforming the Roman Empire itself. Sometime during his long reign, King Ezana converted to Christianity. We don't know the exact circumstances. According to tradition, his tutor was a Syrian Christian named Frumentius, who had been shipwrecked on the Red Sea coast as a boy and brought to the Aksumite court. Frumentius so impressed the royal family with his wisdom and faith that he rose to a position of great influence and eventually converted the young king. Whether this story is literally true or not, the result was monumental. Ezana declared Christianity the official state religion of the Kingdom of Aksum. This was a move of staggering geopolitical significance. By embracing the cross, Ezana allied his kingdom with the new Christian powerhouse of the Roman Empire under Constantine the Great. Aksum became the second country in the world after Armenia to officially adopt Christianity, and one of the very first Christian kingdoms anywhere. The coins of Aksum tell the story with beautiful simplicity. The old pagan symbols of the disk and crescent vanish, and they are replaced by the Christian cross. Aksum was now a key player not just in global trade, but in the great religious and political struggles of the age. It was a Christian bastion in Africa, a partner to Byzantium, the Eastern Roman Empire. This conversion wasn't just a political maneuver. It went deep into the soul of the people and created a unique, powerful, and enduring form of faith, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. This is one of the oldest Christian denominations in the world, with its own pope, its own traditions, and its own sacred language, Guizi, the language of Aksum. And it is this ancient church that serves as the guardian of the kingdom's most profound secret and its national foundational myth, the story of the Ark of the Covenant. To understand this, we must look to Ethiopia's national epic, the Kebra Nagast, or the Glory of Kings. Written in the 14th century but compiling much older traditions, it tells the story that every Ethiopian knows. It tells of the beautiful and powerful Queen of Sheba, who, hearing of the great wisdom of King Solomon in Jerusalem, journeyed to his court to test him. Solomon was so impressed by her intelligence and beauty that they had a son together. The queen returned to her homeland, which the Kebra Nagast identifies as Ethiopia, and raised their son, who she named Menelik. When Menelik came of age, he traveled to Jerusalem to meet his father, King Solomon. Solomon was overjoyed and begged his son to stay and rule Israel after him. But Menelik was determined to return to his mother's kingdom. As a parting gift, Solomon decreed that the firstborn sons of all the high priests and nobles of Israel should accompany Menelik back to Ethiopia to help him establish a new kingdom in God's image. But these young men were devastated to be leaving Jerusalem and its sacred temple, the home of the Ark of the Covenant. So, in secret, they decided to steal the Ark and take it with them. They built a replica, left it in the Holy of Holies, and smuggled the true Ark out of Jerusalem. According to the Kebra Nagast, when Menelik discovered what they had done, he realized it could only have happened with divine consent. He accepted this sacred charge, and so Menelik, the first emperor of Ethiopia, brought the Ark of the Covenant to his new home. He placed it in a shrine on an island in Lake Tana, before it was eventually moved to its final, sacred resting place in the capital city of the new great kingdom, Aksum. This story is the bedrock of Ethiopian identity. It establishes a direct lineage from their emperors to King Solomon and King David. It frames their nation not as a remote outpost of Christianity, but as the new Zion, the chosen people, the legitimate guardians of God's most sacred covenant. For the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, this is not a legend or a myth. It is sacred history, and it explains why, to this day, they believe the true Ark rests in that small, guarded chapel in Aksum. Whether you believe the story is literally true or not, its power is undeniable. It gave the kingdom of Aksum, and the Ethiopia that followed, a powerful sense of divine purpose and a unique place in the Christian world. For several centuries, Aksum thrived as a Christian superpower. Its armies were formidable, its wealth was legendary, and its faith was profound. Aksumite kings controlled territories on both sides of the Red Sea, in Africa and in Arabia. They built incredible rock-hewn churches, like those that would later be carved in Lalibela, masterpieces of subterranean architecture. They were a literate, sophisticated, and powerful force on the world stage. But no golden age lasts forever. And the decline of Aksum when it came was a slow, agonizing, and multifaceted collapse. The reasons for the fall of this great African empire are a complex tapestry of foreign invasion, economic isolation, and environmental catastrophe. The first shadow fell with the explosive rise of a new religion and a new empire in the 7th century AD. From the deserts of Arabia came the armies of Islam. The Rashidun and then the Umayyad caliphates expanded with breathtaking speed, conquering Persia, the Levant, and North Africa. At first, Aksum's relationship with the early Muslims was peaceful. According to Islamic tradition, when the Prophet Muhammad's early followers were persecuted in Mecca, he sent them to find refuge in the Christian kingdom of Aksum, knowing its king was a just and pious man. But as the decades passed and the Islamic empires grew, the strategic situation changed dramatically. The Muslim caliphates took control of Egypt and the entire coast of North Africa. More importantly, they seized control of the Red Sea. Aksum's great trading rivals, the Persians, were conquered, but they were replaced by a new power that now dominated the maritime routes. The once friendly sea became a hostile barrier. Aksum's lifeline, its port city of Adulis, was eventually attacked and destroyed in the early 8th century. The flow of wealth, the lifeblood of the empire, was severed. The Aksumite navy, once a powerful force, was defeated. The kingdom was cut off from its trading partners in Byzantium and the wider Mediterranean world. The window to the world had been slammed shut. Economically isolated, the kingdom of Aksum was forced to turn inward. Its power and influence began to shrink, its focus shifting away from the coast and deeper into the protective embrace of the rugged highlands. The great international superpower was becoming a smaller, more isolated, landlocked kingdom. But its problems were not only external. A more insidious and perhaps even more destructive force was eating away at the empire from within. Climate change. Archaeological and paleoclimatological evidence suggests that during the decline of Aksum, the region experienced a significant environmental shift. Centuries of intensive farming and deforestation to feed a large population and to fuel iron smelting had taken their toll. The hillsides around Aksum were stripped of their trees, leading to massive soil erosion. The fertile topsoil that had sustained the kingdom for generations was washed away by the rains. At the same time, the climate itself seems to have become drier. The reliable monsoon rains that were the lifeblood of their agriculture began to fail. The result was catastrophic. Crop yields plummeted. Famine, a specter that always haunts agricultural societies, became a frequent and devastating visitor. The great city of Aksum, once capable of supporting a large urban population, began to shrink. The kingdom, weakened by economic isolation and starved by a changing climate, was a shadow of its former self. Its wealth was gone, its people were hungry, and its political structure was fracturing. The empire was sick and it was dying. The final violent death blow, according to Ethiopian tradition, was delivered by a mysterious and terrifying figure, a queen known as Gudit or Yodit. The accounts of Gudit are shrouded in legend and controversy, and historians debate who she truly was. Some sources say she was a Jewish queen from the south, leading a rebellion against the Christian Aksumite rulers. Others say she was a pagan queen from a conquered territory, seeking revenge. Still others claim she was a disgraced Aksumite princess, a usurper fighting for the throne. Whatever her origin, the legends paint a fearsome picture. Around the mid-10th century, Gudit is said to have swept down upon the dying kingdom with an army, a whirlwind of destruction. The legends say she laid waste to the city of Aksum, burned its churches and monasteries to the ground, and hunted down the last members of the royal family. She represents a cataclysm, a violent and fiery end to the Aksumite dynasty that had ruled for nearly 1,000 years. While the historical accuracy of a single, Destructive Queen is debated. Her reign of terror may be a composite memory of a period of intense civil war and invasion. Her story symbolizes the final, chaotic collapse of this once great empire. The great stelae were toppled. The palaces were abandoned. The city of Aksum, the capital of a superpower, fell into ruin. The kingdom of Aksum was no more. But a kingdom can die while a culture endures. The legacy of Aksum did not vanish in the smoke of Gudit's fires. It retreated, transformed, and survived. The center of Ethiopian power moved south to the mountains of Lalibela, where in the 12th and 13th centuries, a new dynasty, the Zagwe, would carve entire churches out of the living rock, creating a new Jerusalem in the heart of Africa. The political power of Aksum was broken, but its cultural and religious legacy became the indestructible foundation of medieval and modern Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, born in Aksum, became the vessel that carried the nation's identity through centuries of isolation and conflict. The Guizi script and language, developed in Aksum, remain the sacred tongue of the church to this day. The memory of Aksum became a golden age, a source of pride and inspiration for all the Ethiopian emperors who followed, right up to Haile Selassie in the 20th century. And so we find ourselves back where we started, in the quiet valley of Aksum, standing before a small, humble chapel. The great empire is gone. The bustling port of Adulis is a ruin. The palaces are dust. But the faith, born in the golden age of King Ezana, endures. And with it, the unwavering belief that inside this building, protected by a solitary guardian, lies the Ark of the Covenant. For the outside world, this remains one of the greatest mysteries of history and faith. Is the Ark of the Covenant actually there? No one is allowed to see it. The guardian himself is the only person permitted to lay eyes upon it, and he is forbidden from ever describing it. No scientific testing is possible. No photographic evidence exists. Skeptics propose that what is being guarded might be a replica, perhaps an ancient and holy one, created in the Middle Ages to bolster the legitimacy of the Ethiopian monarchy and the claims of the Kebra Nagast. Or perhaps it is a different holy object altogether, its identity conflated with the Ark over centuries of devoted storytelling. But to ask for proof is, in many ways, to miss the point. For the people of Ethiopia, the Ark is there. Its presence is a spiritual reality that has defined their nation, sustained them through unimaginable hardship, and given them a unique and sacred place in the history of the world. The story of the Ark is the story of Aksum itself, a story of faith, power, and endurance against all odds. The kingdom of Aksum is a vital and often forgotten chapter in our planet's history. It is a powerful reminder that great civilizations can rise and fall in any part of the world, not just in the familiar landscapes of Europe and Asia. It was a truly remarkable African empire, a bridge between worlds, a pioneer of faith, and a testament to the incredible heights of human ambition. Its rise was fueled by trade and its fall precipitated by a complex convergence of factors that resonate even today: geopolitical shifts, climate change, and resource depletion. The story of Aksum is not just a tale of a lost empire. It is a timeless lesson in the fragility of power and the enduring strength of cultural identity. Thank you for joining us on this journey to the highlands of Ethiopia, to uncover the secrets of one of history's great forgotten superpowers. The story of the Kingdom of Aksum challenges our conventional maps of the ancient world and opens up a new vista of African history. What do you think? Do you believe the Ark of the Covenant could truly rest in Aksum? And why do you think such a powerful empire has been so often overlooked by popular history? We would love to read your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If you found this exploration of lost empires and ancient mysteries compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. And be sure to click the notification bell, so you won't miss our next deep dive into the fascinating, forgotten, and often mysterious corners of our shared past. Until next time, remember that history is full of hidden kingdoms, and there are always new stories waiting to be discovered.